Are you a home grower looking for a little bit of help? Are you ready to learn as much as you can about your favorite hobby? The Homegrown Helpers brings you informative interviews from experienced growers that have taken the next steps in their journey and decided to help you grow top quality cannabis all in your home. Now welcome in our host, Rob Smith, along with this week's Homegrown Helper. And welcome to the show, everyone. Are you ready for this week's grow tips and tricks from another homegrown helper? Yes, me too. What a great interview we have coming up for you today. Derek joins us from Today's Healthcare MA, right around the corner from my house. Derek has been consulting for a number of years and currently has his eyes set on a recreational cultivation license or two here in Massachusetts. If you've ever checked him out on Instagram, you know he grows that fire. So find him on Instagram at Today's Healthcare MA to follow along with another great grower. So we've been making lots of connections for you listeners lately with growers of all sizes needing that right consultant to help elevate their grow, fill in some gaps, or just get started. If you're looking for one-on-one advice or someone to help design that perfect room, please email me at rob@thehomegrownhelpers.com and we'll do our very best to find that right consultant to fit your job. Also, at the time we launched this interview, we are less than 3 weeks away from prices going up on our Growcast memberships. If you act now, you'll lock in at the lowest prices ever of $9.95 and $19.95 for each of those membership levels. We hear from members every day how our Ask Me Anythings answered a question they couldn't find on the internet, how our exclusive audios and archived Growcast content is absolutely amazing, or how often they've used the exclusive member discounts from over a dozen different vendors. All of those discounts are exclusive and can help save you loads of money, like with our 3 partners for this show, Harvest Mutual Seed Bank, Rooted Life, and Atlas Plant Trainer. So like I was saying, prices are going up on September 1st, and then we may even close the doors sometime in October, just so we can focus on making the membership even better. But you can get in at the founding member price today by hitting up mygrowpass.com and signing up so you can get those maximum entries into our 5K giveaway as well. Now, let's welcome in today's homegrown helper, Derek. Welcome to the show, Derek.
Hey, Rob. What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course. Pleasure to be on.
So, Derek, why don't we start you off with an easy one? Why don't you tell us what the name of your consulting company is, where you're from, and how long you've been growing cannabis?
So my name is Derek, and I am the owner and founder of Today's Healthcare, which is a consulting company based out of Massachusetts. I started growing probably when I was 15, 16 years old. I had a few rogue outdoor grows with an uncle of mine until I built my first grow room in 2014. It was a 5-light setup, high-pressure sodium lights. And at the same time, when I started that, I was working full-time and going to business school until about 2016, I'd say. I started full-time growing. So.
Great. And what made you decide to take the leap from growing your own and helping out some friends into making this a profession and actually helping out others, teaching them how to grow?
So when I did a lot of reading when I was first starting out, and obviously from the gate, from my first harvest, I shared my cannabis with my friends. And through time, through multiple flowers, my products just started getting better and better. And seeing my friends react to that in that manner really drove my passion to learn more about the cannabis plant and to also teach everybody else out there who would like to know more about it. So that's really what drove me to do that.
Awesome. So a truly mission-driven kind of person here. So
yeah, for sure.
Why don't you tell me about one of your current grow rooms right now, Derek? I know that you have a lot of things going on, so let's just pick one grow room that's more of the home grow size.
Yeah.
And tell me about the lights, number of plants, what you got rocking in there.
All right, so I'm rocking two 15 by 10 rooms right now. Each of them have 4 Fluence Spider X Pluses, which is an absolutely great LED light. I absolutely love it. It runs off of 640 watts of power, so it definitely saves on your electricity bill. I got Quest 70 dehumidifiers in those rooms. I have a Daiken 3.5-ton mini split with 18,000 BTUs of cooling per room. And I usually run 2 to 3 plants per light, anywhere from 2 to 4 strains per room. I use Tupur Coco. I love it. I used to run M3 soil, but I found that Tupurs are just much very forgiving. So,
What was the name of that cocoa again? Tupur?
Tupur Coco?
Two-part cocoa. Gotcha.
No, Tupur. Tupur.
Oh, okay. Tupur.
Yeah.
I just like to hook things up in the show notes so that people can go check those things out that make you successful so that they can continue to be successful. So we'll link that up in the show notes, guys.
Yeah.
Find that at thehomegrownhelpers.com. So Derek, you help a lot of people set up new grows and improve their grows. So if you have somebody coming to you and like, hey man, I just need to focus on one thing to make sure that my plants are super healthy, what would that one thing be that you'd give them advice on?
The one thing that I would give them advice on to make sure that their plants will be healthy is to keep their environment in check, keep their rooms clean. You know, daily going into your room and touching your plants and really learning how the plants grow, I think is huge to success in this. If you're just stepping into your room and taking a gander and then leaving, you know, I don't think it's optimal to do that. I think, you know, you have to spend that time. You need to learn how it grows. So you know the difference from a happy plant and a sick plant. You know, you want to see them praying every morning when you get into your gardens, right when those lights come on, they're just praying, they're happy. I think you should take notes and have a grow journal so you have something to look back on. You know, start with solid genetics that are vetted to grow easily for a novice grower. And, you know, don't go crazy and try and grow 12 different strains your first time. You know, pick one and stick to that.
Yeah, each varietal has its own special sauce, so to speak. And if you overwhelm yourself, you're mixing, you know, 12 different kinds of nutrients. You're trying to control 12 different types of grow styles. Mm-hmm. And that's really not ideal for a beginner grower.
Exactly. And I mean, it even becomes, you know, a test even for an experienced grower like myself. You know, I'm running.
True that.
I'm running a room with, you know, 8 or 9 different strains, with, you know, 2 different phenotypes of every strain. So there's a lot going on. And, you know, I can pick, there's one plant that's just not, you know, didn't like the same feed. It's got a magnesium deficiency, which with Fluences, they like to feed heavy in general, but especially heavy on magnesium. Usually when you see a deficiency with Fluence lights, it's going to be magnesium. So
cool.
Yeah.
I'd like you to describe a plant praying for our audience. Can you do that?
Yeah. You know, so when all the fan leaves are just pointed straight up, they're erect, honestly. You know, they're not hanging out to the side. They're not drooping. They're straight up, almost creating like a barrier around the buds, if you will. When I have my plants praying, say the main stalk, that main bud, you know, is basically covered all the way around with fan leaves. You can't see it because the fan leaves are praying around it. So
they're kind of reaching towards the light for more light, like give me more of what I want, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So audience, if you're looking for some pictures of praying plants, we're going to have Derek source a couple of these for us from his garden, just to make sure that we can give you that visual expertise, and you can find those at the show notes.
Definitely.
So Derek, you know, most home growers are limited by a legal plant count, mm-hmm. and we're always looking to get a little bit more yield out of each one of those plants. So what's the single highest leverage move a grower can do in order to increase those yields off of a single plant?
Okay, so one of the main methods that I use is a form of high stress training. You know, a lot of people use these forms of low stress training where they'll top at the third node and then bend those branches down, and so those other nodes come up and spread those out. In my opinion, I believe that you should let the plant grow as it will grow in veg stage. You know, let that plant build its roots let that plant become healthy enough for you to stress it out in that sense. Because if you're doing low stress training, you add time onto your veg time, just by stressing it out. Whereas I've found if you do a form of high stress training, when the plants are bigger, 2 to 3 feet tall, have pretty good root mass, they'll take to the stress that you would give it a little bit better, and they'll rebound a little bit quicker, if you will. So I do a form of high stress training, usually from day one of flower. I don't top. If it's a new strain that I'm running, I do not top it. I want to see how that plant grows. I want to see how that plant reacts in the environment under the Fluence lights, again, because LED is a completely different game than high pressure sodium. So after, from day one of flower, I'll do a de-leaf and a lollipop. I'll usually lollipop a third of the way up the plant, and then do a de-leaf. And then what I'll do is I'll stake down. I'll throw anywhere from 8 to 15 stakes in a pot. I'm usually in 10-gallon pots. So I'll stake that down. And what I'll do is I'll take the lateral shoots and I'll tie those down to the stakes that I just inserted into the pot. And I do that the first day of flower as to not damage the roots. If you do it week 2 or week 3 after you already transplanted and those roots are now, going around the bottom of the pot, you're going to damage roots, and that's, what you're trying to avoid. So again, I'll take those lateral shoots, tie them down with vinyl tape so that the light penetrates the lower bud sites all the way down to the point where I lollipopped. And then, so that way that all the lateral shoots are spread out just like that. They all get the light, and then you got that main stalk coming out.
Interesting. We had talked about this before the show about that lack of training, and that's a very unique perspective, but that's what we try and capture with this show is the different grow styles that make people successful.
Yeah.
Because honestly, there's no one way to grow this cannabis plant. There's thousands of ways to grow this cannabis plant. So
that's for sure, man. That's for sure.
And time for a break from our partners from mygrowcast.com. Harvest Mutual Seed Bank is our choice for top quality genetics from the best breeders in the world. They are constantly adding new genetics to their catalog of rare novelty bird seed, and their goal is to provide a customer experience and tremendous value through their online store. Their founders have over 30 years of combined experience in the industry in all facets and are happy to help with any questions you have after the purchase. Head on over to harvestmutualseedbank.com, use the code Growcast at checkout to get free shipping, or become a member and you can get 10% off your choice genetics plus free shipping. That discount alone should help cover the costs or completely cover the costs of your membership level. If you decide to use one of our other partners like Rooted Life is a top quality provider of CBD products of all ranges, sizes, and strengths. Listeners can use the code Growcast to save 10% at rootedlife.com. That's ROOTEDLYFE.com. Are you confused about how to use CBD or what certain dosages you'll need? Overwhelmed by the amount of product choices out there? Rooted Life is here to help. Their mission is to simplify your CBD experience. Why turn to Dr. Google for information when our team of cannabis specializing advisory doctors oversees your vast educational program? We offer high-quality, third-party, lab-tested products that contain minimal ingredients as any wellness supplement should. Always produced from hemp grown in the U.S. Don't wait any longer. Use code Growcast to save 10% at rootedlife.com. ROOTEDLYFE.com. And last up, we have Atlas Plant Trainer. Have you ever found yourself a few weeks away from your next harvest and running low on bud? Are you wondering how you can get more out of your plants without replacing your lights or nutrients? I bet you've tired of bamboo stakes poking you when you're trying to train and support your plants. With Atlas Plant Trainer, all of these concerns are wiped away. Connect, click, bend, and clip. 4 easy steps to growing the plants of your dreams and never running out of cannabis again. Head on over to atlasplanttrainer.com and use the code Growcast to save 10% off your entire order. Member discounts go all the way up to 25% your entire order, even the 6-pack that is already discounted by 20%. Get yours today at atlasplanttrainer.com. All right, so back to the show with Derek from Today's Healthcare in Massachusetts. Derek, this is the question. You've already provided some unique grow tips and tricks, but do you have any more that you'd like to share with the audience? Something a little unique that you do in the grow room besides high stress training right at Flower?
Yeah, so besides my high stress training, I like to run my rooms a bit hot, the flower rooms with a little bit higher humidity. The first 4, maybe sometimes into week 5, anywhere upwards of 80 to 82 degrees with 65 to 68% humidity. I try and run as close to possible, close to VPD as possible. And like I said earlier about the praying leaves, that's when I have found my leaves. That's when they're praying the most. And when I notice my plants are shrinking regularly, daily, if you will. So, yeah, I like to run them a little bit hot. I used to think when I first started out that high heat was bad, and high humidity. And it's all about, airflow within the room, within the garden, obviously. And, yeah, besides that, that's what I like to do.
Now, from my experience, Fluence lighting actually calls for higher temperatures and higher humidities for a while.
It does.
Yeah, it has a relationship with the VPD, but specifically that lighting, they actually call for higher temps in your room for whatever reason. Any insight on that? I'm sure you've talked with the Fluence guys.
I personally believe because of the intensity, how intense the light is, running them at cooler temperatures, I've found that certain times where I've run a little bit cooler, my soil wasn't as warm, if you will, because I don't have my plants on flood trays or anything. I just have them on pots with trays on top, those root trays.
Yep.
With those. So I have those on there, but I've noticed that it doesn't allow my root zone to get warmer, if you will. So that's, I think, one of the reasons why it enjoys a little bit higher heat. It gets the soil a little bit warmer. And then, like I said, they're drinking optimally. When I have a plant that isn't drinking every day, by week 4, week 5 of flower, then I kind of know that there's something going on. Because if my temperatures and humidity are the same throughout, and all these, say 10 of the plants are all on the same, and then there's 2 that aren't, I can kind of tell that those ones might have a little bit of an issue,
Yeah. I mean, especially if they're the same strain and kind of, in similar environments. That's interesting about the root zone temperature. I mean, it's definitely a fact that too cold of a root zone temperature, your plants are going to be stunted. Yeah. But making sure it's the right warmth is really key as well. Good point.
Yeah. I was going to say, I have a buddy who runs his room with Fluences at, 76, 77 degrees, and he has great results. His yields are not there. He isn't hitting the yields like I am. And that's, part of the reason why I like to be able to feed my plants every day. I think that they want to be fed every day because with cocoa, especially, you're trying to keep that root ball wet. So I think a small feeding every single day is definitely optimal for the plant to really take it all in and use all that light.
Now, have you ever experimented with a colder root zone towards the end of flower to bring some stress to that plant and bring out some more resins and some more colors at all?
Would you say a polar root zone?
Yeah, colder root zone. I know some people will use straight cold water.
Yep, I do that on every flush. I use cold water. Usually 58-degree water. I'll take it out of my barrel, the night before and let it sit overnight in obviously a cold environment. And it'll drop right down. I love to do that. I really think it improves the trichome production for sure. Really makes them glisten and just really makes them reek, those last couple of weeks of flower when you're flushing.
Yeah, I've seen people go as far as just dumping a 5-pound bag of ice on top of the root zone and let that flush down through. So really interesting stuff what we can bring out of that plant, right?
It is, man. It really is. And I'm definitely one of those people that are, all about the science behind it, So I love it.
Cool. Cool. So, what character traits or characteristics are the most important for a grower to succeed?
So, I mean, passion for the cannabis plant, for sure. If you're not passionate about what this plant can do as far as, helping people, and if it doesn't help you, then, maybe you should look into other things as far as medicine goes, because if you're growing this plant and you're just in it for the money, you're not going to produce grade A cannabis that you're going to enjoy smoking with you and your friends. That's definitely one of my biggest driving factors is I want people to enjoy good cannabis, because I know good cannabis can be produced by anybody that has the time and dedication to learning how the plant grows. I think that you should definitely create a routine that fits your schedule. If you work 12 hours a day and you come home and you just don't have the willpower to take care of your garden, try and get up early in the morning. Try and get up an hour before work, so that way you can get into your garden and take care of what needs to get, the urgent things that need to get taken care of. I'm a firm believer in, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if cannabis is your passion, you will create the drive and the inspiration to become a masterful grower.
Do you have any thoughts on how long somebody should spend inside their typical size grow room in a day, just to familiarize themselves with the plants and the environment?
So that's definitely person dependent. I mean, if you're a very smart person and you can read a book back to front and retain all that information, you're definitely going to have an upper hand at that. But again, where it goes back to the passion, if you don't have the passion for it, you're not going to want to strive for that knowledge. But you need to take the knowledge that's in front of you, and you need to act on that. So, I mean, as far as time goes, at least an hour every single day. If you want to fast track that, double it. If you want to fast track that, triple it. I've spent in a room with 6 plants on one day, just leafing by myself 4 or 5 hours, just doing that, but also, doing other things in the process. But, I spend a lot of time in my garden. So,
yeah, speaking from personal experience, when we were shutting down our grow up in Maine, I really let our last harvest kind of lax. It was a sacrifice that needed to be made, as we were doing so many other things with the businesses and, selling a house, packing up a house, getting a new location in Massachusetts here. And it was obviously the worst harvest that I've ever had. I mean, I didn't lollipop the plants in flower at all, because it just got away from me, and then it got too late. And I was like, well, if I do it now, I'm just going to stress these plants out and potentially cause more damage than I'm doing. So, and I probably lost, I'd say 20% in my final yield expectations.
Yeah, and that's a good hit.
Yeah, it was a good hit. And it wasn't just yield, it was extra time, because there were so many smaller buds located on the bottom of the plant, more trimming, more harvesting time. Yeah. So it it definitely came back to bite me in the butt on the back end. And I still needed to spend all of that time. It just was very backloaded instead of spread out through the entire grow. So I can definitely share those.
Yeah, it's much more stressful when you're a few weeks into flower and things just go awry, because if you're not familiar with the cannabis plant, I mean, especially the strain, I'm running new strains, and I mean, they could have lateral shoots that go everywhere, and there's no way to tame that unless you tame it prior to it going in flower, so that's huge, that's one of the biggest stressors to me, is walking into a messy room. As far as the plants go, I don't like to see any of my branches hanging down, drooping, or anything like that, because they don't have support. That's why I like to build up the support in the beginning, so that the plants aren't extruding any extra energy on building strong stems, because they already got support from the stake. I'm sorry, and so it's definitely stay on top of your rooms, and you'll spend less time cleaning things up in the end.
Totally. So, Derek, we're going to wrap things up here on the regular podcast. We just have one more question for you. And a reminder that we're going to keep Derek around for 5 more questions that we post over at thehomegrownhelpers.com/bonus or bonus content. And you can download that the rest of the episode right there for free. All you have to do is enter in your email address, just so we can stay in contact with you about some upcoming promotions, the membership program, etc., etc. But we get a little more personal, a little more hypothetical, maybe a little silly at times, just to bring out Derek's personality and what he likes to smoke on and how he thinks about, growing that cannabis plant. So head on over to thehomegrownhelpers.com/bonus to download that stuff. So last question for you, Derek, on this part. What is the last bit of advice you'd like to give to the, say, 400 to 500 growers that are listening to you right now?
So I stated earlier, but I think it's definitely important for new growers to understand that you should start with one strain. I understand the hype of wanting all this new stuff in your garden, and you want to be able to smoke different strains right away, but you can still go to your dispensary, you can still go to your caregiver and buy different flowers while, you hone in on one specific strain. So, get your toes wet, dial that strain in until you produce a product you and your friends can't get enough of, and then you kind of got a grip on this, then you can kind of expand, and go from there. And I also think you should schedule weekly cleanings in your grow room. Don't leave water on the ground, don't leave soil on the ground, just be cleansy about your grow rooms. Have a change of shoes next to your grow room, one for your grow room, and then one to leave in. Things of that nature. Just stay clean.
Yeah, we actually just posted a Growcast interview, and I made a social post that pretty much detailed that. Like, don't let dirty people, including yourself, in your room.
Yeah.
Change your clothes, take a shower, have grow room only shoes so that what you've walked on outside isn't following you into the grow rooms and then contaminating your plants.
Exactly.
I'd like to just make one point. You mentioned, grow one strain enough, and then if you need to experiment with other strains, you can go to the dispensary or caregiver. I would like to encourage a more trading economy amongst us growers. So if you're growing one strain and your buddy's growing one strain and your other buddy's growing one strain, you guys should swap out a couple ounces with each other so you have a little bit of variety and you're not constantly smoking that cookie strain or that tangy strain or whatever it is.
Agreed, yeah.
Introduce a little bit of variety where we learn from each other, so you can learn how to grow this particular strain from a friend. There's grower meetups all over the place if you don't have a grower that is in your life.
For sure.
So, Derek, we're going to wrap things up here, but first, why don't you tell us how our audience can connect with you, find you, and enlist your services if they so desire?
Yeah, so my Instagram handle is @todayshealthcare_MA. You can DM me there if you're looking for a consultant on a personal project of yours. I'm more than happy to give you a call. Also, my email is todayshealthcarema@gmail.com. If you want to contact me for a consult job, that's probably the best way to go, just because I do get a lot of random DMs in my Instagram thing, and I just don't have the time to check them all. So if you're looking to hire me, I'd say my email is definitely the best way to go.
Or you can reach out to Rob at thehomegrownhelpers.com, and we can help make that introduction for you.
And that, boom.
So just thanks, Derek, for joining us once again here and the time today.
It was my pleasure, man.
And audience, don't forget to head on over to thehomegrownhelpers.com/bonus and get the next 5 questions that we're about to start off with. So happy growing, folks, and we will catch you next time.
Great, thanks.